Hey everyone, UEBS 2 Hub here, and in this battle, we have 3 million ostriches, almost as far as the eye can see, versus a thin line of incredibly powerful Terminators. So that being said, you guys have the gist of this match. These Terminators are outnumbered 300 to 1. Can they win? Or will the Ostriches finally be the saviors of humanity? We will have to see. But already the Terminators have destroyed 30,000 Ostriches. It is mayhem. But some of the Ostriches are getting through, as they are quick and they are hungry to eat metal. So let's go see it here on the sides, and we already have some Terminators being surrounded entirely by the Ostriches, which is just absolutely absurd. The fear that must be going through their circuits right now is just unbelievable. We've already got 3-4 Terminators destroyed. As you can see, we are starting to see Terminators running away from the fight, afraid of these large birds, ground birds. Can ostriches even fly? I don't believe they can, but as you can see, this is just becoming mayhem. We have already nearly 10%, so around, I guess, 7% of the ostriches destroyed versus only 12 Terminators. However, now that the ostriches are starting to be able to flank the sides of the Terminators and really starting to group them up, we might see an ostrich victory, but who knows? It is way too early to tell, as we have less than 1% of the Terminators destroyed. However, we have about 10% of the ostriches destroyed. But of course, things have a way of working themselves out eventually, and still, nearly 30 Terminators are thus far gone. So let's go ahead and raise this up. We still have almost infinite, a sea of Terminator, of ostriches. So you can see that's probably about as many have been destroyed. This game has a funny way of doing that, but these Terminators are starting to be flanked on the sides. We already have a pocket. Oh no. We've got a pocket, we have gaps. One Terminator is running away from all of them, and a bunch of ostriches are on his tail. We have several gaps right here, or pockets rather, of Terminators that are just being wiped out slowly but surely. And still, 1/6 of the ostriches have been wiped out, and still less than 1% of the Terminators. But with these pockets going away, that is a large amount fewer of Terminators that can actually fire on them. And the crazy thing is, I mean, if you guys didn't know, when it comes to melee units can only do as much damage as their front line, essentially. Terminators, or really any ranged units, can do as much damage as everyone combined, because they can shoot above, around, over, whatever you want to say, over everyone else. So let's go get some close-in action here. These Terminators are running for their electrical lives. Yet, not much blood is being spilt, but it looks like Terminators are blood-fueled. They're the ones who actually have blood, whereas the tons, quite literally, tons of ostriches are not bleeding. Oh my god, the humanity. Look at this thing. This is just chaotic. We now have over 100 Terminators destroyed versus 750,000 ostriches. But these ostriches are not giving up. They do not know surrender. I mean, look at this. This is absolutely horrifying. Okay, it looks like we have a bunch of ostriches running over there. I'm not entirely sure why. Let's go check that out. So it appears as though we have one Terminator out here on the side that has led probably over 100,000 ostriches away from the actual fight, sacrificing himself for the betterment of steel kind. Or whatever metal they're made out of. Because I know some Terminators are made out of different metals. I'm not entirely sure. So don't get me on my Terminator lore, please. Or actually, if you want, tell me, because I'm interested. But thus far, we have over 1 million ostriches killed for only about 4% of the Terminators. But the ostriches have almost entirely encircled every single pocket of Terminators. Of course, we do have occasional Terminators that are kind of stealing away the thunder, so to speak. But once this entire group, let's just call this Army Group South, right? Once that Army Group comes over here, they are going to encircle the rest of these. It will be huge amounts of reinforcements. So this is not over yet, not by any means. We have 5% of the Terminators gone, which means 5% of the fire support, yet the Ostriches are still putting down as much damage as they ever could have, again, because they are melee. I think they might have a range of 1, but essentially melee units. So over here we have a relatively healthy battalion of Terminators, if you want to call them healthy at all. I mean, there are still plenty of Ostriches to go around. But, of course, some of these Terminators are being hit. You can see the transmission fluid splatter. But it isn't all too much. But with this second group of Ostriches coming up on the side, we may start to see some more Terminator damage. But time will tell. I feel like these guys probably won't be touched until you see groups like this being destroyed entirely. And maybe a group like this, because they are starting to be encircled, which is obviously good for the Ostriches. But overall, right now, we have almost 8% of the Terminators gone. This guy is still distracting probably over 100,000 Ostriches. Unbelievable. I'm not going to interfere with the natural course of things, because, of course, the most natural thing that could ever happen is an Ostriches versus Terminator fight. Oh, wow. So they have just completely split off the two groups of Terminators here. They keep moving in. This is just brutal. You can just see them. Like, the gulf is getting bigger and bigger between these groups as they kill more and more Terminators. If only the humans had thought about this in the Terminator movies, they may have actually had some success and the world would not have been destroyed by Skynet. So at this point, I feel like the Ostriches are starting to more or less finalize the annihilation of all the small pockets, and now they're going over to take out some other big pockets. However, as you can see, the Ostriches are running thin. So this will not be enough Ostriches, for example, to take this group out. However, once we start seeing maybe this group of Ostriches come over, reinforce the sides, and maybe this group of Ostriches, we might see it where they could start winning, because we have now over 10% of the Terminators gone. And it looks like that group, they might be heading in. Who knows? But over almost 60% rather of the Ostriches have been killed. Absolutely gruesome to behold. Okay, it appears as though we have these Ostriches. They are finally done killing that singular Terminator. And yet we have two more Terminators here, but these guys will be encircled much more easily rather than that one over there that was playing chicken. This group may be coming in too late, however, as more than 2/3 of the Ostriches have been killed, which at this point is starting to severely impact their combat capability, whereas the Terminators still have plenty of, I don't know if you want to call it life, but they still have plenty of something left. And it might be looking good for them because the Ostrich lines have been thinning out now. But, of course, there are still plenty, so we still have to see what sort of damage these Ostriches do. I mean, isn't this just wild? Doesn't this look like some sort of like a cellular attack, right? Like, these look like cells or something, or like white blood cells that are just encompassing an enemy and just annihilating it slowly. That's almost what this looks like. And the more Ostriches you have from top to bottom, the smaller the resistance is. Pretty crazy if you, if you think about it, but it makes sense. Like, for example, with this entirely, like this thicker portion of Ostriches here, I would imagine that those Terminators would actually wipe them out. However, up there, obviously, those Terminators are probably not going to survive, barring a miracle, because we still have almost 700,000 of these large birds left. Oh, and here we go. We have a resistance movement fighting back. These guys are tired of Ostrich domination. we have an entire group of Terminators that are just running amok and are going to start annihilating and reinforcing their brethren. And it looks like, are these all no, these are all Ostriches. Pretty much the largest singular group that's left is the one that was chasing after that singular Terminator. But over there, you do still have pockets that have been encircled. But for the most part, there are still very many more of the Ostriches. However, the Terminators have made a resounding comeback, if you ever want to call it a comeback, which, don't tell LL Cool J that, but these guys are marauding, taking out lobsters. I want to call them lobsters. Ostriches wholesale. It is just maniacal what's going on here. Still a frightening sight. As you can see, they are just charging. Like, imagine the plains of Africa being overrun by 3 million ostriches. Now, given enough time, these guys might be able to make it through to their buddies and save them. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, these Terminators still have thousands upon thousands of health. We still have a few fresh ones right there in the middle that have not been damaged at all, but the outside ones are going to start, they're going to start being killed real soon. So we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like thus far, unless some crazy thing happens, the Terminators have unfortunately bested the Ostriches. But, of course, we don't know by how much. On the ground floor, I mean, it still looks like there is just an unlimited amount of Ostriches running by, but these guys are being wiped out. It's not a single shot that kills these Ostriches. I mean, they are hardy fellows. However, they are still running through as though they are unlimited in number, and yet we know this to be the unfortunate case that that is not accurate. But it looks like all of those Ostriches have finished off. Oh, wow. We saw plenty of Ostriches up there. But these guys are still holding out. It looks like there are still the same 3 that have not been damaged, but that will not be the case forever. We are starting to see singular Ostriches breaking through the outside of that wall. Let's move back over. Wait, is this all that's left? Have the Ostriches condemned? Oh, that looks like a wall. Okay, let's see what this is. So that looks like a singular Terminator destroying a bunch of Ostriches as much as he can. A brave soul, if he ever had one. And here we have corpses of what looks like dozens of Terminators. Just completely and totally sad. Look at his eyes. So sad. So sad. But then we have his brethren just complete... Oh, wow. They are finally saving a group of Terminators. They are rushing and marauding. And it's almost to the point where there is a 1-to-1 ratio. It's probably like a 4-to-1 ratio currently over here of Terminators to Ostriches. However, that will soon be lessened as these guys work their way in and save their buddies to go fight another day on the Eastern Front. And yet, despite the total oblivion of Ostriches, we still have large groups chasing down individual Terminators, which is just... Like, look at that. Imagine being faced with that, despite knowing that your team is almost won. That's like being on the end of the last German victory of World War II. It's like, where are these guys coming from? But they are still at it. This is still a 10-to-1 ratio of Ostriches to Terminators, so there might still be a few Terminators dying. We'll have to wait and see. And it looks like his brethren are finally coming to save him. Will it be enough to be able to save this one Terminator versus nearly 200, or still 200,000 of the whatchamacallit? Did I say 10-to-1 ratio? I didn't mean 10-to-1, but I think you guys know what I mean. Hopefully. It's like 20-to-1. Or more, actually. It's like 22-to-1? Maybe? 23-to-1? Regardless. We still have this group of Terminators. This looks like the bulk of what's left, congealed into a single ball of mass destruction. And if 3 million Ostriches couldn't take out all these Terminators, I could understand exactly why humans couldn't do it in the movies. Which, by the way, I've actually heard that there might be an actual program called Skynet that they're trying to make via AI. Oddly enough. Kind of stupid. And it looks like he has finally rejoined his brethren, who are now going to absolutely annihilate. Like, look at this. Just feathers flying everywhere. So at this point, I mean, obviously this last group is the last one to survive, but at this point, with the exception of these small groupings of just annihilated, I mean, like, look at that. It's just so unfortunate. Of annihilated Terminators. These Terminators have completely wiped out Ostriches. How unfortunate. And here we go. We have the final clash of Ostriches versus Terminators. Still plenty of them, and from the ground level, it looks like they are almost limitless. But these guys know better, being that they have fought Ostriches for the better part of probably the last half hour at this point. There are only about 125,000 of them remaining, not even getting close to the individual Terminators. And of the Terminators that are alive, I would imagine about 40%, maybe around 50% are undamaged. So it's a good mix of damaged and undamaged. You can tell the difference between, at least for the most part, those that are coated in red and those that are not. Being that the ones coated in red are, you know, that's their own blood. These Ostriches, for whatever reason, run on some sort of magic and not blood. And this is what it looks like from the sky, guys. We have around 50,000 Ostriches left, dwindling by about 1,000 in less than a second, versus 8,095 Terminators. And I do not suspect any more Terminators will be destroyed. This is not good. The only way that Ostriches could actually could kill these Terminators is if they were able to surround them, which obviously is not going to happen anymore, with each of them just being destroyed before they can even touch a Terminator. And they have very similar speeds. These Terminators stock have very similar or very fast movement speed. It's something like over 8. So they are not slow, which is probably why they were leading the Ostriches on a chase all around the map. But that being said, looks like the Terminators have definitively... Oh, wow! We have Ostriches coming in from the side! I did not expect this! Whoa! What is this? It's like a Royal Rumble in the WWF, or WWE. It used to be the WWF before the World Wildlife Federation took them down. But that said, now we have seen the end of the Ostriches. So that being said, thanks so much for watching. Actually, where the heck is the last group? They just exist in the nether? Wow, okay, we have 601 Ostriches left remaining. Not sure where they are, and I don't think I'll ever be able to find them. But either way, again, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Give me some ideas about what you might want. I've got a pretty capable PC, 3070 Ti, with, or 30... Is it 37? I forget. 3780. I don't even know like the RTXs anymore, man. But anyways, it's a pretty capable computer. So give me some ideas about what you might want to see in the comments below. But either way, thanks again, and I will see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.